The vibes in the city are great. I mean, people were panicking. I was panicking a little bit. I don't like, after going through the Ben Simmons stuff, I was not a fan of keeping James Harden around. I wasn't a fan of Daryl Morey talking about patience this, patience that. We saw what that did to a team well into the season, and it's not a good thing. And from what it sounds like, Josh Harris decided, hey, Daryl Morey, enough. Like, you can't be in charge of this anymore. Made a move. A lot of people rolled their eyes. Not me, because this is exactly what I was asking for the last couple of years with this team. I don't believe the super team method works. And if it does, it has to be a specific group of stars, right? This is why the Clippers are not going to work. No. They're too similar. And I'm not going to overreact to their one game. They're going to have great games, and they're too talented not to. I get it. Their problem is in the playoffs, depth, and then one of them's getting injured. That's just how history tells us the future, right? The past tells us the future. So one of them or two of them are going to get hurt, and Russell Westbrook is going to disappear or do too much, and James Harden's going to disappear. That's that story. The Sixers, however, are doing something a little bit different, I think, that I've seen in the last couple of years. And what I've been actually clamoring for is depth and versatility, right? If you get, and this is the method that worked for the Golden State Warriors. This is the method that has worked for the Denver Nuggets and the Milwaukee Bucks. And lo and behold, and to an extent has worked for the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler. It's you have a guy who can penetrate, and we have that in Tyrese Maxey. And then obviously you have your star player in Joel Embiid, who sucks all the defense to wherever he wants to go on the court, and everybody spaces out and hits open three-point shots. Team defense, everything's moving in one unison, not two-player dominant ball. Hey, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. That doesn't work. And so I'm very happy with what I've seen so far, because we have now the depth to compete with Denver, right? Or Milwaukee in the East, Boston here, who's probably going to me, our biggest threat, because that Milwaukee thing, their defense isn't good. We knew that wasn't going to be good, but that doesn't look nearly as good as I thought it was going to look. But it's, 6 games in, however many games in. What is your outlook on the Sixers? How do you feel? What were your thoughts of the trade? And then how do you feel now about, 6 games in, 5 games in?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying that I totally agree with your sentiment about the super teams, and I think we're seeing the NBA kind of phase away from that, with the exception of the Clippers now, who seem to be doubling down on it by going with the big four of what they're trying to build there. But I do think the Sixers kind of skipped a couple of steps in the process when everything was building by falling in love with this concept of star hunting and getting these big names, the Jimmy Butlers, the Tobias Harris at that time, chasing LeBron James, chasing Kawhi, when really the best way, what has been lost over these past couple of years is really just continuity on this roster, that there's been very few players that have stuck around for the long term. Think about Furkan Korkmaz is the second longest tenured Sixer on roster. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. But my favorite part about the trade as a whole is it's a little bit of a kick the can down the road a little, that you now stock the cupboard with assets. You have these draft picks, which are in turn going to be very valuable draft picks, potentially extremely valuable as when you think about towards 2028, with all these guys on the Clippers, with injury concerns, past the prime of their career, and all of them on expiring contracts, there's very much a world where these guys walk and those turn into potentially top at least near the top picks. So those are picks that are going to be valuable. It gets the Harden headache out of there, and it allows you to truly look at this team. I think the biggest question is Tyrese Maxey. I mean, his growth has been far and away above what I think anybody could have expected. But now is the chance to look at him and say, are you ready to be the number 2 on a championship contender? I'm not willing to say no to this question, because he's just improved so rapidly in every area of his game, and we're already seeing the playmaking leap from him this year. But I like that they have a deep roster. They have a lot of nice pieces, guys that I think were overlooked in the deal, players like Nick Batum, who are going to be very helpful as a rotational piece. And then you can kind of feel out what is missing on this team and then go out and get that at the deadline if they need to.
Yeah. Addition by subtraction, big time, right? You get, and it's literally less about the drama that surrounds James Harden now that we're drama free. Again, learning from the Ben Simmons thing, that drama, going into training camp, having to answer questions about this guy. Is that a cell phone in his pocket? I don't know. Where is he going to be at? And when the whole James Harden thing, I said, how could you have a brand new coach trying to instill a new culture in this team And the players have to answer questions about James Harden, man. It's like, why would you even allow that near? And thankfully, Josh Harris stepped in, and I don't know what that relationship has. I don't know how that's going to play out. I'm not going to shed any tears if Daryl Morey goes away for causing this mess in the first place. I'll never forgive him for denying the Tyrese Halliburton Buddy Hield for Ben Simmons trade. Anyway, so yeah, it's to see Furkan Korkmaz being unleashed, right? And you hear it in the comments of the players. Oh, it's not just two-man ball. We're playing as a team now, not one person's this, that, and the other. Tyrese Maxey, again, another stat I saw. Only CP3 and Tyrese Maxey, the only two players in NBA history to hit 40 assists before 10 turnovers. Tyrese has 7 on the season. That's nuts. That's nuts. So, all this talk about, James Harden, it turned into a facilitator, Maxey's doing it, man. He's doing it. And so that's an overstated thing right there. That's one thing that people can look at. And now you're not hindering his growth. This goes back to my super team comment. It only works with a specific group of players, right?
Yeah.
Miami worked because LeBron, Bosh, and D-Wade, big thanks to Chris Bosh for sacrificing a little bit, but they all their games complemented each other. They fit because not all of them did the same thing. So that's why that worked. It's not working in LA because Anthony Davis isn't who we think he is. And again, he has to have the ball. He has to. He can't. And LeBron, his greatness can only cover up so much for that team. So all the iterations of that Laker team never worked because, Russell Westbrook didn't work there for the same reason that it's not going to work on the Clippers. It doesn't mesh well. So the Sixers have that. Tyrese and Embiid don't have to do anything together. And I'm perfectly fine with Tobias being the third guy. And all you Tobias haters out there that have been asking to get him traded for the last 3-4 years because he wasn't shooting 100% from the field and, playing 5,000 minutes a game and not doing everything perfect. Don't be bigging him up now. I see you guys out there trying to hype up Tobias Harris. Now, I keep receipts. Tobias Harris has been the unsung hero of this team. You can hear it from the players. You hear it from anybody who's around the team. Tobias is our Chris Bosh. He had to sacrifice everything he does for this team. And I am so glad that Nick Nurse is here to clean that up.